Have you ever encountered a hurdle with launching or growing your business? Listen, there are two things that run a business, the back end and your soft skills.
Telling you right now, if these aren't in place, you'll lose clients and you'll lose money. You don't want that? Well, you're in the right place.
Hey, I'm Dana.
Hey, I'm Sarah.
We're your hosts of the Entrepreneur Encounter, and we're going to give you a behind-the-scenes glance into our businesses, give you genuine feedback, tips and tricks, plus occasionally bring on guests that care about supporting you to grow your business organically and nurturing authentic relationships. Are you ready? Welcome back, entrepreneurs, to another amazing episode of Entrepreneur Encounter. Today, I'm super excited. Joining us is Ivey, also known as AI. Amber is an accomplished public sector leader, innovator, and author. She's currently the vice president of a nonprofit where she leads a team that helps governments drive impactful changes. Amber is also the founder of Ivey Collective and co-founder of AuraSense, where she offers data-driven solutions and aims to provide equitable healthcare through innovative technology. So, hi, Amber.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm anxiously waiting for this episode. Would you take a few moments of explaining who you are and what you do and essentially your journey to this type of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I often tell people I am a data professional by day. So you talked a little bit earlier about my background being a vice president for a nonprofit. So I help governments use data to make decisions ranging from topics such as homelessness to housing to health, all over the place. I work with governments to make sure they're able to use their data to make better decisions for the people that they serve. And I'm really excited about that. But by night, I really focus on this world of the intersection with technology, data, and things like that. And one of the things that wasn't in my bio is that I've launched an AI for kids company called AI Digitales, which allows kids to understand AI. And how did I get here? A weird way, really. It all started, honestly, with having a need for using both sides of my brain. So like I told you during the day, I'm super data focused, logical, thinking about math. But then there's this other side of my brain that's this creative, has a love for creativity. And I want to be involved in things where I'm imagining, thinking, and being creative. So the entrepreneur side allows me to get that side of myself out. So not to say that data is not creative, because it can be and it is, but there are often times where sometimes math feels rules-based, and there are times when I don't want to follow the rules. So that allows me to do my other side of my brain, which is the creative side. And around the AI and tech pieces, it honestly came from just working in different fields with data. So as a virtue of working in data, I'm always around technology and things like that, and had the ability or the benefit to work with folks to launch different technology initiatives. I started hearing about this thing called AI some time ago and started doing some research on it. And I had started talking about AI for adults, but I realized that adults were often afraid of what happens when you get older. You get a little bit nervous and things get a little bit more fearful. But I knew that this was a topic that I wanted to keep talking about. And kids just felt like the right place because they are born into a world where Alexa, Siri, and all these things are literally integrated in their homes. The apps that they're using use these different tools. And I wanted kids to understand the tools that were in their hands and to move from being consumers of these tools to creators of these tools. So that's why I started the AI for Kids, AI Digitales platform.
I think that's a perfect segue, but I do feel a little called out because I work from home. Sarah works from home. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I am not a tech person whatsoever. I am wholeheartedly calling myself out. If it doesn't work or it's freezing, I will just restart my computer and kind of hope.
And that works. That works.
But as I know myself, I'm going to include myself in this, but many parents do struggle with balancing the support and independence when their children show interest, not only in entrepreneurship, but really all of this tech. It's one thing you want to provide that safe space for them to learn and grow, but also technology isn't always a safe place to be for kids. So
not at all.
What advice would you give to myself and other parents who want to nurture their child's entrepreneurial spirit, but also keep them safe in the online space since AI is such a big thing?
I always tell people a few things. One, I am not a mom. So I need to say that for people who are listening. I have 2 nieces and a nephew, which was honestly the inspiration that really shifted me from AI for adults to AI for kids and their parents is the way I frame it. Because I saw them using these devices, particularly my nieces. I'm like, they're in Roblox, which has AI integration. They're on YouTube, which is basically customizing information to share with your children or share with you. Like all these things are using AI in the background. And I'm like, it would be a miss for me not to make sure that little person understood how their brain is being influenced by these external influences that we didn't necessarily have. We had it in a way of a McDonald's sign or something like that that was outside of your house. You drove by and that meant trigger for ice cream. Now we have these devices in the home, in these kids' hands where there's triggers and there's this fight for attention that these companies are trying to get for our kids as well as for adults. So one thing I do tell parents is that it sounds scary, but AI has been around since the 60s. I interviewed a gentleman and he said that AI is old enough to be on Social Security. So that's always something to remember and think about because we think about it as this new thing. It became new in the idea of like OpenAI releasing it for the public, but it's been around for a very long time. And now with computing power, of course, we have this big thing that's coming out of nowhere and everyone's now paying attention to it. But it's been around for a long time. It's literally been in our lives forever. And we have all been using it, not as active users, which is what we're doing with like things like ChatGPT, but more like passive users. So I remind parents that first, it's been around for a long time. It's not this new thing. It's a lot of energy around it, but it's been around. And because of that, and because of the energy, you do want to make sure your kids have what they need to be able to compete in a world that we don't understand and that's changing on a regular basis. I remember going to a conference and they mentioned that the half-life of a skill right now is 2.5 years. Like, I'm assuming we're around the same age. Yeah, it's very short. It used to be like 10 years. So now they're saying every 2.5 years, you should be getting a new skill, particularly because all these different technologies are coming out. So that also is the reason why I'm like, kids, worst case, like understand it from a bare minimum. So at least you see how the things you like to do may intersect with this world. And the way I tell parents who are a little bit afraid of technology or who are not interested in it, first of all, I am also weird with technology, especially when I get around people who are in generations that are younger than me and something new comes out. Like when things like TikTok came out, I was like, no, what are y'all doing? Like, please stop. Like, we don't need a new thing. But I'm like dancing in choreographed ways and not being creative. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But I do go on there so I can at least understand what's available. Just check it out with your young person. A lot of these tools are free and open. And imagine what it means to like play a game together or try to explore it together or explore some of the in-home devices that you have. A gentleman I talked to a couple of weeks ago, he mentioned him and his child use it for a game. So his son loves like Guinness Book of World Records. So they put a prompt into the AI that said, hey, we want to play a world records game. We're going to take pictures of things and you're going to tell us what the world record is for that picture. So with those tools, you can literally just take a picture, upload it, and then it will tell you if it's a world record or not. The thing he added, which is really cool, is that him and his son will then go actually search the internet to see if what the AI said was true. So they have a really cool game that they play. And you can do this across other areas or other things you care about. Like if you care about animals outside or trees, flowers, and things like that, you can create games in these different tools to introduce your child in a way that's not scary, that's supervised, and that is not a topic that has their personal information in it. So I encourage parents to just try it with their kids. Every time I tell people just to try it, it takes a while for them to get there. Once they get in, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm like fully in it and fully learning. And it's really like ask it to do silly things and see what happens and just explore the bounds of what this thing can do.
I love that idea. So my kids are big question askers. And I know that's from me. I know I get on my husband's nerves because everything I'm like, what? Why? How does this work? What's going on? I ask a lot of questions. And my now kindergartner, he won the award for asking questions. She was like, it doesn't matter the topic. He had a question for it. And his older brother is the same. I could see us trying to prove ChatGPT or whatever wrong by searching somewhere else. I'm going to remember that for future reference. I love that. So you also wrote a book. You mentioned that AI meets AI. So with following along in that mindset, how can storytelling and creative projects like writing a book or trying to add that creativity into the data side of things, the math, how can that help introduce concepts of entrepreneurship and technology with children?
So AI Meets AI is a story about a little girl named Addie Iris. She's also an AI, similar to me, who meets an AI robot named Jazz in the city of Baltimore. Baltimore has a lot of different Johns Hopkins, Morgan, all these places that have these AI labs. So I wanted to really build it there in a place that has a lot of issues with it, but also has a lot of opportunity. And she meets this little robot, and the robot is lost because its GPS stopped working. And they spend the time trying to figure out how to get Jazz back to his lab while also learning about Addie's city, her family. Like the first stop is her brother Nolan's birthday party. And Jazz is then taking in all this information. But at the same time, Addie's also learning from Jazz. And the whole point of doing AI Meets AI was that in reality, these things are going to be working together, humans and these tools. Like there's not a world where AI can be by itself. Like the whole book and the series continues to remind people that even though these tools are happening, you still need to be a kid. You still need to make sure you bring emotions, joy, helping people. Like all those things have to happen because AI can't do those things, at least not right now in the current version that we have, right? So we want to make sure kids understand that. So as I think about that, I want to make sure we give people the ability to learn about these topics using edutainment. Like that worked since we were kids, right? Or even beyond us. Like I think about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I think about Sesame Street. I think about all these spaces. What is the one? Schoolhouse Rock. I think about all these spaces that allowed me to learn things that I still remember till today with all the like rhymes and jingles. I learned because parts of my brain were being activated together in a way that helped us remember. We remember slogans, jingles, intros to movies, intros to TV shows we used to watch, TGIF, like all those songs are stuck in our head. Because there was an entertainment and like learning aspect that works together. So I try to integrate those things together to help kids learn that way. Because my biggest fear around technology is that they will not be creative and therefore will not be entrepreneurs because they are getting so stuck with the technology and so like programmed to only look down at their phone or only play these things. The hope I have is that I've talked to young people who have been very entrepreneurial with like things like AI. There's a young girl that I interviewed some time ago and we met I was speaking at an event and we met and I was like, oh my gosh, she's just so amazing. She's already launched like 2 AI companies. At the time when she launched, I think was under the age of 16. She's now 17. And her AI companies, one was a Project Pill Tracker. Her name is Archie Marapu. Project Pill Tracker allows her to basically help her grandfather who wasn't taking his pills on time know when to take his pills by getting alerts and notifications within an app. She saw the detriment that could happen if you miss his pills and created something. Another thing she created was an app around using AI to help with public speaking. So basically, an individual can record themselves and then get the AI to give you feedback on what's happening. So even though technology has the ability to limit creativity, it also has the ability to expand it beyond and to create so many new entrepreneurs. I've known so many solo entrepreneurs who popped up over the last 2 years because of this AI tool who are now able to do things that they never thought they could do. And I'm really excited about the future of what these things can do for your listeners or for people who are thinking about jumping into the entrepreneurial journey.
I love well, both are very important, but the public speaking aspect, we've done an episode on that of how like project confidence and you're not trying to sell the audience, but really connect with them. So talk to them one-on-one as opposed to like scanning the whole room. But if you tied the knowledge or tips, I guess, from that episode to an app or AI tool like that, just to like practice, because I talk with my hands a lot. So I can only
Me too. That's what I'm holding right now.
I can only imagine what it would have to say about that. But that would be really helpful for me to know, especially early stage entrepreneurs, even if they're preteens, teenagers, all the way up to my age. I'm not going to share that right now. But that's one of my biggest goals because I've had more than one business. And the first one did not do well, but I never opened my mouth to share it because I was nervous. That's why we do this podcast. I'm teaching and training myself to open my mouth and not be afraid. And then I tell my kids about it. And that's my creative storytelling for them is, look, listen to my make them listen to my podcast. Just like, this is what I'm doing to like stand my ground. And I'm proud of what I'm building. And when they come up with these crazy ideas from being a YouTube influencer to a pro gamer or even a cotton candy attendant, whatever they come up with, I'm like, all right, let's make it fun and build your business and find ways for you to make it profitable blah, blah, blah. Like, I'll help you. And it's really cool to see, like, I see technology and think, like, I'm always looking for inspiration, but I would have never thought to create apps, like to use artificial intelligence like that. So that is already inspiring me more. I'm like, oh, what else can it do?
Yeah, because it can code for you too. So even people who don't know how to code, you can ask the AI to write a code for a website, to write a code for an app. Of course, you may need to do some editing, but you can even go back and forth with it to get to the best version of what that looks like and possibly have someone develop it for you. So even in the coding, AI has been helping a lot of people out.
I love using it for inspiration and stuff like that. I didn't think about coding, but again, I'm not tech minded, so that would have never crossed my mind. Oh my goodness. Hey there, listeners. Ever feel like you're struggling to connect with customers or lead your team effectively? That's where soft skills come in.
Entrepreneur Encounter isn't just another podcast. We're a community dedicated to helping early stage entrepreneurs like you master the soft skills that make or break a business.
Technical skills are important, but without communication, collaboration, and confidence, your business might never get off the ground to the next level.
In our membership, Dana and I share actionable insights and tips to help you nurture the soft skills you need to thrive.
Give you access to bonus content, workshops, and a network of like-minded entrepreneurs who are all on the same journey.
We'll teach you how to boost your confidence,
Become a leader who inspires and motivates your team,
navigate conflict like a pro,
to resolve disagreements without drama and build stronger relationships,
communicate clearly and concisely, get your message across, build trust, and close the deal.
If you're ready to take your business to the next level, join the circle by clicking the link in the show notes. So as someone who's deeply involved in like data and talking with other people about technology, what trends do you see in the future for entrepreneurship that parents should be aware of? Mm-hmm. And maybe, like we were talking about earlier, kind of sit side by side with them to dive into?
Oh, yeah. One of the things that is still a conversation that we haven't settled, particularly in the US, is around data and data ownership. So the way we talk about data is we all deal with it. Like, how many of us read a terms and conditions in an app? We don't. Like, no one's reading that. No one's going through and saying, what did I just give away by signing up for this app? The reality is we give away a lot in many of those apps. And I know recently a lot of companies were getting heat because, for example, kids or adults were putting their faces in like AI image generators. And then it was like, we're going to train on your image and train on your likeness. So the conversation is coming up around how do we make sure with all these AI tools, because their lifeblood is data. They scrape the whole internet. They pull all of our information down. And where I have concerns about that, especially with kids who are now on social media. Like, I remember when Facebook first came out, you had to be like a college student, right? Now anyone can get on these apps. I think now the age is 12 years old. But in reality, like, kids can make up their age or what have you. But what they don't realize is all their personal information is now being trained on. All their information can go into these tools. And now you have all your kids' information out here. So I often tell parents, even if their kids are entrepreneur or they're entrepreneurial, to make sure that they're thinking about how they see the data piece of that. Because right now we do not have good laws on how you get your data back. Like, once your data is in those systems, who knows where it goes? It now knows about you. And sometimes kids don't know. Like, I remember being on a cruise last year and there was a little kid, don't know where his parents were. He decided to have a conversation with me, right? So even beyond technology in real life. So I'm like, oh, okay, where are your parents, et cetera? He begins to tell me where he lives and where he's located. Good thing is I'm a good human, but if he tells the wrong person something in real life, right? That's also like bad when now that kid doesn't think about, oh, there's danger out there, because kids are creative, they're innovative. They want excitement in those things, and they're just not as fearful as we are. I don't want kids to go into an app or into an environment where they bring that information in a way that someone could hurt them. So the future is looking at how do we think about our data in that work. As it relates to AI, right now, large language models or things like ChatGPT, Bard, and all that do exist, but AI is way more than that. So what I would encourage parents to think about is other forms of AI that are going to be popping up. There's machine learning, there's natural language processors, there's all these different predictive analytics, all these different types of uses of AI. What I would say is, as you see tools that are available, just try them out. So at least you and your kid together can know how to advocate for that or how to ask questions. And sometimes the kids know more than we do because they're in school. They're learning so much that we're not learning. That is so helpful to do it together. So then they can tell you, oh, someone can do this with that, or someone can be a bad actor in this way. They are actually quicker than us because we don't fully understand it to identify some of the early harms that could happen. Or they've already seen it just because of what's happening in their school environment.
So that is something that I guess I never realized with my son, as he has new apps and he has his Chromebook from school, this, that, and the third. I have had him show me the apps that he uses at school and like sit down and walk me through. I was looking at it for the very first time, which technically I am, but I feel like that's just a good skill for him to be able to break it down and explain it. Then maybe, because we like to ask questions as he's doing it, my hope is he'll ask new questions as he's doing it. Well, why does it work this way? Or why isn't it doing it the things that I want it to? And maybe that would inspire him to make a better app or who knows what else. I love that. And I feel like because AI is such a hot topic right now, everyone does only focus on ChatGPT and those things, but it is so much more than that. I guess my biggest questions from that is, I know we talked about the trends, but what are your current favorite AI tools that you're using and sharing with others?
So some of the ones, of course, I love the OG, as we call it, ChatGPT, but there are other better models that are becoming available. You have Claude, you have Lama that came out through Facebook. You also have Perplexity that kind of pulls all that stuff in together. So I would recommend trying them all. Bard or Gemini now, whatever the name is today, Google's AI tool. I recommend people trying them all. And I also use Copilot daily. Copilot is with Microsoft and it's basically ChatGPT, but interacts very differently because it's built for a different use case. But I recommend, especially if you have access to, right now it's all free and they're trying to get you, of course, to buy the paid version, but try them out and see which one works best for what you need it for. So if I'm an entrepreneur and let's say I have a flower shop and there's prompts I want to enter, I would try the same prompt across all different platforms and play around with it to see which one is the best for me. Because of the data they've been trained on and how they learn from you, just tend to be better. Copilot, in my mind, is great for a business enterprise and an organization. It is not the greatest for creativity, even though it's built on ChatGPT. I don't like it for creativity. It doesn't do a great job of helping me to think creatively. It does a great job of pulling our company's documents and me being able to scrape that stuff and get summaries. But ChatGPT does a great job of that. Google Bard or Gemini feels a little bit better when it comes to citing sources because of the way it's built. ChatGPT has gotten better on that. So the other piece is that these things change weekly. Sometimes new models come out, they update them, and all these things are happening. So I always recommend, especially since we're so early on, just to try a few things. It's like, I don't even know what to compare it to. It's like a world where we just got the car and a bunch of people are introducing the car. And so we're trying out what works because most of those things are not going to make it and they're going to fail. We're just so early on. So try to figure out what works best for you. And hopefully it's around in 5 to 10 years. So that's the thing I tell people. Just try it out, see what works best for you. If you're into images and things like that, of course, I prefer Midjourney. I think that's great. I'm really excited about some of the text to video tools. Full transparency, I don't think any of them have truly showed me as a plain user the best use of them, but I'm looking forward to see what OpenAI creates with their upcoming technology.
Ooh, okay. I haven't tried text to image. That could be.
Oh yeah, text to image is great in Midjourney. DALL-E or OpenAI now is much better, so you'll get a better image. They also have, I think it's Runway AI. That one's really good too.
Okay, so I know what I'll be playing around with this weekend. Are those just to like see what I come up with? Because my background is in weddings, so I'm very visual in learning and creating mood boards and all of that. Because I have a note taker, speaking of, when I have like coffee chats. And I was just thinking, like, when I was doing weddings, how much more helpful that would be is to take their words that they're already saying and then using like an AI tool like this, like text to image, and it creates the mood board. So now we have like a solid, okay, these are the looks we're looking for. I can now better source vendors for you. I'm going to have to ask my like wedding niche, like my community who's using these.
You can even take a specific color and literally put, I want this image, and like go pull up the colors online. Like, you know how you have the different color numbers. So like each color has like a different number behind it. So if you find a perfect color, you can literally upload it into a website and say, hey, can you give me the number for that color? I've literally taken and saying, hey, I want these exact 4 colors. Like if the bride or groom know exactly what they want, I want these exact 4 colors, put the image code in it, and it will create the picture with the exact colors of the wedding that they want.
Ooh, I haven't seen that. I have taken pictures and tried to find
do that too.
codes,
Yep.
but I haven't thought of using it in that way to okay, I'm all inspired. So if I'm inspired, I know our listeners are inspired. So for those that are tuning in, where can they grab your book if they have kids or are aunts and want to purchase the book for them? But where can they also just connect with you outside of this podcast?
Oh, yeah. So our website is AI Digitales. That's AIDIGITALES.com. And you can find all the resources. We also have a new book coming out that's called Let Kids Be Kids, Not Robots. We also have a podcast called AI for Kids. But if you reach out on AI Digitales, you can find me and find all of our books and all of our resources. We try to make AI accessible and as free as possible, no matter where you are in this journey. So check us out. And also Amber Ivey on LinkedIn and other platforms as well.
Perfect. Thank you again for joining us. And for all of our listeners, if you have any questions, just make sure you touch base. Until next week.
Thank you.